showing you guys how to make this beautiful dress. Someone sent it to me on Instagram. I think probably because of the sleeve. But we're going to show the full detail on how to make the dress. It's just a pencil dress with this double layered sleeve. I think probably the sleeve is the issue on why she can't make it. So I'm just going to run through every other thing. So we're going to start with the bottom part, which is the skirt. So basically you're going to fold your fabric into two, and then you have the back panel, which is going to be extended by about 1.5 by the center for the zipper allowance. And then the width I'm using here is my hip measurement divided by 4 plus 1. So my hip is about 48 divided by 4 is 12 plus extra about 1.5 inches. You can do 1 inch, you can do 1.5 of side seam allowance, and then also added 1.5 to the back for the zipper. So guys, now I'm going to go up to the waist and divide my waist measurement by 4. So my waist divided by 4 is going to give me 8.5. I'm going to go ahead and mark that here, and then I'm going to add extra 2 inches to that because I need 1 inch of darting and 1 inch of side seam allowance. So I'm going to also mark my dart. To mark the dart, I need to use the nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2, which is 4 for me, and then I'm going to mark my waist to my hip, which is 10 inches down here. So my dart, going back to my dart is going to stop about 2 inches before my hip measurement, which is at 10. My dart is going to stop at 8. So I'm going to come down here, mark half an inch on both sides, and then connect it. So that's basically your dart here. So now you're going to connect your waist measurement to your hip measurement, right, to where your hip is. Remember, you already have your hip measurements, which is the fold of this fabric, and all our measurements are starting from the fold of the front panel, right? So your hip divided by 4 plus 1.5. So that's what we have here. And then down here, the same measurements I have, because this fabric is folded equally all the way to the end. I'm going to subtract 1 inch from this bottom part here because this is a pencil dress, right? So now all you have to do is just to connect it down to this point. So guys, now we have our skirt, and I'm also going to go ahead and notch this here because this dart in front, I'm going to transfer it to the 2 layers of the front and 2 layers of the back. So I'm going to now cut this excess from here all the way to the top. So guys, this is the skirt part I'm using. I'm going to set this aside now. You see, I've cut out the excess. I notched the dart part. So I'm going to go ahead now and cut the top. So guys, now to cut the top parts, the length I'm using here is basically my shoulder to my waist, right? So the shoulder to waist I'm working with is 17 inches plus 1 is 18. 1 because I need half an inch to join the shoulder, half an inch to join the bottom. And guys, to determine the length of your skirt, you just need to measure from your shoulder to the end of the dress, maybe your knee or below your knee, wherever you want it to be. And then you're going to subtract your shoulder to your waist from it. Whatever is left is going to be the length of the skirt part, right? So the skirt part, you're going to add your seam allowance to fold the edge and also to join the bottom part to this top part. So guys, what I'm trying to explain is for the top, to get the shoulder to waist of this top part, you're going to measure from here to your waist, right? Whatever you get, for me is 17, and then you're going to get the length of this bottom, which is the skirt that we just cut. To get the length of this bottom part now, you're going to measure from your shoulder to the end of the where you want the dress to stop, maybe below your knee or on your knee, and then you're going to subtract this top part from it, the shoulder to the waist of this part here, from this full length. So let's say I have 40 for this one. I'm going to subtract this 17 from this 40. Whatever I have, which is going to be around 23, is going to be the length of the bottom part. But to this one here, this 23, I'm going to add plus 1.5 to it, 1 inch of folding the edge, or depending on whatever you want to use to fold the edge. If you want to use 2 inches to fold the edge, that's fine. If you want to have a thick band at the bottom of your skirt, then plus 2 inches, and then you need half an inch to join this top part to this top of it to the bottom part of your top bodice. And then you're going to add plus 1 inch to this one because you need half an inch to join it at the shoulder and half an inch to join it to this lower part. So that's basically the measurement you're going to need. So guys, now I'm going to start putting in my measurements here. So for this one here, the width is basically going to be the widest part of your upper body for me, which is going to be the bust. Divided by 4 is going to be 10.5 for me, plus extra I used 1.5 inch just like I used for the bottom part. So that's what I have here. So that's 12 inches. The next thing is just to go up here and insert my shoulder measurement. So for me, that's going to be 8. I mark 8, and then I'm going to come down 1 inch of shoulder slope, insert my armhole, which is going to be armhole divided by 2 for me is going to be 9. Mark that here, and then I'm going to connect this to this. So guys, now that I've marked this here, the next thing I have to do is to get my front armhole. I'm going to check this length I have here, which is 9 inches. Half of it is going to be 4.5. Go in by half an inch here, right? And then connect it with a curve on this lower part this way to your bust line, and then connect it with a straight line down to that same point. So we have our curve now. The next thing is to just insert my neckline. I'm going to be using 3 inches of neckline here, and then I'm going to connect this shoulder slope to this part. So guys, basically we have our bodies now, and then for the waist, you're going to divide it by your waist by 4. I have 8.5, the same thing I did for the skirt, and then I'm going to add 2 inches to it for my seam allowance and for my darting. So if I mark that, it's somewhere here, and then connect it from the bust to the waist. So you see this part is done. Depending on how low you want your neckline to be, you can just mark that. For me, I'm going to do 4 inches in front, and then bring it down this way to that 4 inches. And then for the back neckline, I want to do 1 inch, so we're going to mark that here. So now guys, all I have to do is just to cut here. Remember, I'm cutting the front and the back together. You see the zip allowance here. So I'm just going to cut from here, follow this line, and then cut all the way in. You see, for my back, because I'm going to cut it and then separate it so that I can cut out this part in front. So my back neckline, my back armhole is going to be just this way up, following this straight line. But once I cut it out and then separate it, I'm now going to cut this inner one out for the front armhole. So guys, I've cut out the excess on this side, cut the armhole out, cut the shoulder slope, cut the back neckline first, and then cut out my front neckline. So I'm going to remove this from the, before I remove it, I'm also going to insert my dart. So guys, for your front dart, you're going to measure your shoulder to where your bust is. So for me, that's going to be at 11. My dart is going to be 1 inch below that, so somewhere here. And then I'm going to come in here for my nipple to nipple divided by 2, which is going to be 4 for me. Connect it all the way down, and then I'm going to mark half an inch on both sides, and that is basically going to be my dart. So, and then this dart here, I'm going to transfer it as usual to the 4 layers, 2 in front, 2 sides of the back, right? So, but in the one at the back is going to go all the way to my chest line, which is this line here. So that's where the 2 back panel, that is going to go up to that point. So guys, the next thing I have to do now is to cut the sleeve. So guys, the next thing now is to just cut out this piece from the front armhole. How you're going to mark the sleeve, you see I've gone ahead and joined the shoulder, joined the body. Guys, if you're using lining, then go ahead and finish up that, and then just make sure that you have this armhole ready, because from this armhole you can that's how you're going to cut the cap sleeve. So guys, what you're going to do is to measure from this part here and down. Just measure what you have as the opening of your armhole all the way to the end. So for me, I have about 11 inches for mine. So that 11 inches, I'm going to divide it by 2. So you see, I've cut out this fabric here that is on a fold, and I have 2 of it, one here which is also on a fold, and then this is the second piece here on a fold, right? So guys, I'm going to place it on top of each other, and then like I said, I measured 11 inches for this armhole. I'm going to divide it by 2. So half of that is going to be 5.5. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure I have enough width of 5.5 here, and then you're going to add extra 1 to it. So I'm going to do 5.5 plus 1, that's going to be 6.5. I'm going to mark it here, and then I'm going to, after that, after marking it, this is going to be the width I need. Then you're going to check the length you want, right guys? It depends on how small you want the cap part of your sleeve to be. So let's say I decide to do 4 inches for the cap height, and then I'm going to do extra 1 inch because I need half an inch at this bottom and half an inch to the top to join it here, and then half an inch to the part that will be joined to the ruffle, right? So in total I'll be working with 5 inches. I'm going to mark that here, and then after that I'm going to make like a dome shape from here, from this end now, just like that. I'm going to make a dome shape to this point, just to this curve this way. So guys, now my cap sleeve is done. I'm going to go ahead, cut this part and cut all the way up. And guys, don't forget to notch this part. I'm going to go back and trim off mine, but notch this part so you know this is the top of your sleeve. And then I'm also going to cut off the excess down here. So guys, now that I've notched it, I'm also going to notch the bottom of my sleeve. There's another thing they normally do if you're making a basic cap sleeve. You can also go up 1 inch here and shape that out, but I'm going to leave mine this way. I'm not going to cut anything out, but that's how you cut a normal cap sleeve. It's always shorter by the inner part, so you're supposed to go back in again, like cut out 1 inch, go up 1 inch by from this center part and remove it, blend it into the side. This is the shape of a cap sleeve. So guys, but before that, see what I'm going to do here is to cut out what I need for my ruffle. So remember, it has 2 layers. So this one is going to be my first layer. They are folded into 2. There are 2 of them here. So there's 2 for 1 for each sleeve. Just know that I have 2 here. It's not opening, but this is it here. I have 2 pieces here for my, this is going to be my longer one, because remember, when you're trying to calculate this sleeve, remember that you already have about 3 inches or 4 inches for, or whatever you decide to use as the cap part. So you don't want it too long. So I'm doing 10 inches here. That's including my 1.5 inch of seam allowance, because I need 1 inch of length for the folding the edge and half an inch to join this to this top part. That's what I'm doing for the longer one. And then for the shorter one, the same thing. I have 2 pieces of it. So guys, the same thing is what I'm doing here for the shorter one. I have this one, place it on top. So guys, you see, so the length I have for the shorter one, that's including my seam allowance, is going to be 6 inches, and then the long one is 10 inches. So that's what I'm working with. So guys, the width I have here is just, I think, 15 inches. So in total, it's going to be 30 inches round. It depends on what you want to work with. You can do your armhole times 2. That's round your armhole times 2 or times 1.5. It depends on you. So guys, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take out 1 short one and 1 long one for each side, right? And then I'm going to fold the edge of each of them. So 1 long one and 1 short one for each side. And then there's going to be this cap part. So I'm going to go ahead and join it and show you guys how you're going to join yours. So guys, this is what it looks like at the moment. So I'm going to show you guys how you're going to do yours. So you see what I did here. I folded the edge of the longer one, folded the edge of the shorter one, and just placed it on top of each other, right? And then I notched the center just so that because all of them are the same width, I notched the center. And then, so guys, this is it here, and this is my cap part of the sleeve. So I'm going to take it this way now, and I'm going to open this up. You see, I also notched the center bottom. And guys, remember, like I said, I removed that curve part. I cut it out just so that I can have the perfect cap sleeve design here. So you see, I like what I was showing you guys about going up 1 inch and reducing it from the center. I did that because I cut it out. That's why this part is no longer straight. It has this curve. So guys, now you're going to just take this here, and then you're going to place the notch to each of the sides so that this will help you spread out your gather perfectly. So I know where my notch is. So the notch is on this part here, and then it's also all on this fabric. So the 2 of them are meeting each other. So I'm going to place it on the sewing machine now and gather it all the way to the end here. But once before getting to this part here, once I get to this point, this edge here, you're going to take your tape, and then you're going to measure, because this is the part that will be attached to your clothes. Remember, whatever you measured for your armhole, right? When we measured, I got 11. I'm going to place, and remember, this is not going to reach up to 11. So I'm going to measure from the notch because this is going to be at the tip of my shoulder. So to know the perfect measurement, I'm going to start from this top part of this here, because I'm measuring for one side and measure all the way down to this edge here. So for me, I have about 9.5. So that means when I'm getting to the end of my girder, I'm going to leave about 1.5 extra on this fabric to make up for the 11 inches I need, right? So that I can complete my armhole, because this is a cap sleeve. The girder doesn't get to the end, right? The length of this doesn't get to the end like a normal sleeve. That's why it's called a cap sleeve. It hangs on top, right? But so guys, like, this is what I'm trying to say. You see my armhole now. If I place this here, this is the part where this is going to stop, right? Let me open it again. You see, this dome part is the part that will fit into your sleeve. So we are going to put it in now, you see? So what I'm trying to explain is that once you keep gathering this edge, because this part now is going to be gathered into this part, you need to measure this opening and make sure that you leave that extra to complete this here, so that your armhole doesn't, because this is supposed to be a complete sleeve, so it's not open at the edge. So you see the one I've done already. This is what it looks like. So you see at this edge here, I left some about 1 inch or 1.5 to complete the edge of my sleeve. So once this fits in here, this is going to look something like this. So you see what this one looks like. It has some fabric at the end. You see, as I'm joining it, getting to this end, I added whatever I need to complete that 11 inches, which 11 inches I'm talking about is whatever I measured for my armhole. And remember, it's half of it that I measured, not the full length, right? We're talking about one side because it's on a fold, right? So guys, there are two ways to do this. It depends on you. You can cut because this here, it takes up a lot of fabric. So one other thing you can do is just to cut a basic sleeve, right? Make it the length you want. So you can cut a basic sleeve, and guys, you can cut a basic sleeve and make it longer like this, and then put one girder at the edge if you're trying to manage your fabric. Because guys, to tell you the truth, this sleeve took almost 1 yard, right, because of the girder. So guys, you're going to, if you want to manage your fabric, you can cut the same length of flay, right? Maybe you want to do 6 inches for each of them, right? Then you're going to take one, join it at the very edge of your sleeve here, right? Take one and just gather it at the edge of your sleeve like this. Cut your basic sleeve, your normal sleeve, take one gather and join it. Just sew it on top this way, just like this, all the way to the end. And then take the second gather and join it on top somewhere like this. You see, from the curve of the top of your sleeve, just sew it down on it, and then one will drape on top of the other. You understand? So that's another method of doing this. Put one on top, but the one on top, try not to make it try to sew it into the side if you want to get this same look. Because imagine if you sew it now and get to this point, and then the girder drapes forward instead of draping into the armhole. So you need to make it to come in this way, and then you sew it into the seam of the armhole. That way you can get the same look as this one here. So, and then the second one is going to drape at the lower part. So when this one falls on this, you will get that same two-step look. But this time around, you're using less fabric because the two lengths are the same. It's just that one goes up a little higher and one is below. And they are all sewn on top of your normal sleeve. So guys, with that said, the next thing you're going to do, we are now trying to complete the dress. So guys, this is my back panel. I like to go back up into my sleeve, my back, and remove 1 inch from the bottom. This helps my zip to relax better and blend it into the side seam. Just like that, I'm going to cut this excess off. I'm going to do that, then join the skirt part to this, attach all my sleeve and put in my zip and show you guys what it looks like. This is it here. The dress is done. I've attached the sleeve. You see what it looks like, exactly like the one on the picture. And then this is the body here. This is the back. Okay. So guys, this sleeve, I wanted to tell you guys, in case if you want, you're lining yours and you're wondering how you're going to line this sleeve, all you have to do is just to cut the same as the cap sleeve part, right? You're going to cut this part of the cap sleeve, right? This part here, you're going to cut 2 of it, and then you're going to place, let's say this one is the original, the one with the pattern of the fabric, and this is the cap sleeve, right? Like this is the cap sleeve. and you cut one like this, you're going to cut a lining also the same. If you're trying to line it, you're going to cut your lining the same pattern as that, right? And then this is the second part of it, but in between you're not going to put the gather, right? So the gather, you're going to put the gather in between it this way and gather it, and then use lining to cover it, so that when you're done, you're going to turn the lining over this way and then use this top part here to attach it to the sleeve. That way everything is inside and it's going to look clean. But for me, I'm just going to weave the end and then cut off the excess threads on it. But apart from that, that's basically it for this video. Thank you guys so much. If you have any question, please leave it in the comment section, and see you guys next time. Bye.